Hey everyone, welcome to our day 2 coverage of Overland Expo SoCal 2026. It's been a great show, tons of vendors here, lots of people, but we've got more to see today. So we're gonna go around, check out a few things on our list, and I'm gonna share the highlights with you. So stay tuned. We're stopping over here at Portal Pros. Now, if you kind of followed me for a while back, I was really interested in their product because it went through a long development cycle. And a lot of that was just beating the crap out of it, seeing what failed. Yeah, I mean, that's the type of company that I like, is one that truly punishes their product to the breaking point, past the breaking point, figures out what's wrong, and then re-engineers and keeps making it better. So the initial release was a little delayed, which no surprise, right? But you're shipping now, right?
Yep, yeah. So we had, in January 2 months ago, we shipped our first 10 customers portals. We've had a few haven't installed them yet, but we've had them, and dude, the feedback we've been getting is so positive. You know, of course there's small issues here and there. Oh, I installed it, I cut an O-ring or whatever. But people, we've had a couple customers tell us they've never driven a more stable Jeep on the road with 40-inch tires.
That's wild.
We're like, that, like, I knew it was stable, I drive my Jeep, whatever. But when someone else tells you they actually paid for it and they're like, this is the best Jeep I've ever driven and it has 40-inch tires on it, that's really saying something.
So if you have no idea what we're talking about, which some of you might not, what is this?
Okay, so this is a portal axle, or also referred to as a geared hub. So basically, instead of having your center line of your wheel in line with your axle shaft or your CV, we now have this gear train that drops the output down by 4 inches in our case. So you basically are, instead of doing like a lift kit where you're extending your springs and shocks and the chassis goes up, but your axles stay at the same height relative to the ground, you're actually pushing the wheels down relative to the axle. So you're getting 4 extra inches of ground clearance under everything.
True ground clearance.
True ground clearance. Your diff goes 4 inches higher. So just to give you an example, like on my JK, I've got 40-inch tires with Dana 44s. I got 17 inches of ground clearance under the diff, which typically you're talking more like 10 or 11 inches with like a 37 or 40-inch tire. So you get way more ground clearance than you normally would. It's the same. Oh, go ahead.
No, keep going. I mean, so you're going to have to explain why running 40s on a Dana 44 is not stupid.
I don't know if I can defend that. No.
But it's because of the portal.
Yeah. So, yeah, typically, you know, a 40-inch tire on a Dana 44, especially the JKs, where, you know, they were a little bit less strong than the newer generation ones. The ring gear is going to start to be your limitation, as well as your U-joints, your axle shafts. But with a portal, in our case, we have a 1.25 gear reduction, which means that there's 20% less torque going upstream to your U-joint, your axle shaft, your differential. So everything just effectively got 20% stronger, and you know, that it just bolts right on and takes care of all those stress problems.
And you're not re-gearing your diff.
You're not re-gearing your diff, you're re-gearing your hub effectively. So that reduction is happening past the differential, which is why everything from the differential, the stub shaft, the U-joints, etc., gets stronger.
So that's why it's not stupid.
That's why it's not stupid, yeah. Yeah, because your axle, your drivetrain effectively gets 20% stronger when you bolt this on.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And what are these available for? What does it take to install one?
So currently they're available for Jeep Wranglers, so the JK and JL and the Gladiator, and then also Toyota IFS applications, so Tacoma, 4Runner, GX, and FJ Cruisers. And then the install is basically you remove your what's it called? You remove your hub or your unit bearing, and you put this on, and you're done. Stock brakes stay on. You got to bleed the brakes because you got to put extended brake lines on. But it's like an 8-hour, 10-hour install in your driveway. It's pretty easy to get them on.
So a shop that knows what they're doing, are they going to cut that down significantly?
I think they could do it in 6 hours.
Okay.
In fact, when we did our install video, which was the first time we did a video on this, whatever, from the time we started shooting to the time the shoot was done and the install was done was maybe 9 hours. So we were doing it in a shop on a lift, so it makes it a little bit easier, but that includes a couple extra hours of filming. So it's pretty straightforward to get these in bolted on.
So if someone's going to go this route, what else should they upgrade on their vehicle to be as good as possible?
So I always say it depends what you want to do with it. If you just want to put 40-inch tires on and drive to the mall, you don't need to do anything else. You're fine. But if you want to do some gnarly rock crawling like what we do, you're going to want to upgrade your ball joints. You're going to, especially with a solid axle, you're definitely going to upgrade adding a truss or a C-gusset, something like that. So those are the things that are going to be failure points. You could also go to like an aftermarket axle housing. That's going to be significantly stronger. Don't need to really truss it at that point. When you're looking at an IFS application, we don't actually replace the full steering knuckle. So same thing, you're going to want to gusset your steering knuckle, make sure that that thing is nice and robust. So it's kind of the supporting things that are around the suspension that tie into, you know, the extra stress that's being added by adding a bigger tire and adding this extra portal on the end.
Since you're using stock suspension for the most part, you don't need to add long travel shocks or anything like that.
Correct, yeah. So it's always an option. You can add more, but it's not required.
Okay.
Certainly. And in fact, our Gladiator that we've been testing is, other than armor and the portals and 40-inch tires, it's completely stock.
Okay, and you said they're available for multiple vehicles, but an important point of that is you can go take these from one vehicle and put them on another.
Yeah.
Not exactly bolt-on, but the modular design allows you to move it around.
Yeah, so
explain that a little bit.
Yeah, so our design is fully modular. So this case is going to be the same whether it's on the front of a JK, on the rear of a Tacoma. It's just the parts that go into it that make it specific to that application. So for example, we've got different mount plates. You know, this would be for the rear of a Jeep. We've got one for the rear of a 4Runner. And then there's different output flanges or hubs that go on depending on your bolt pattern and your wheel hub. And then there's a few other odds and ends that kind of make it specific. But the nice thing about that is if you buy it for your Jeep Wrangler, and then 5-10 years down the road, you decide to buy a Tacoma or a 4Runner, you call us up, we can sell you the parts to swap.
Not that anybody would do that.
If you want to go to the dark side and get a reliable vehicle.
Let's go the other way around. When you get smart and decide to get a Jeep. Right.
Yeah, when you decide that reliability isn't something you're interested in.
Right. Oh, ouch. Oh,
hey, as a Jeep owner, I work on it a lot, okay?
That stung a little.
But yeah, we can sell you the parts to swap out and basically rebuild them into your next vehicle's version. And that way, it's kind of a one-time investment in your off-road career.
The most expensive thing is movable.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's a cost involved.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So for a kit, what are we looking at in price?
So the full kit, 4 portals, the axle shafts, all the stuff you need to install is $15,000 starting.
So seems expensive off the top, but compared to other brands, that's extremely affordable.
Certainly more affordable compared to other portal manufacturers. And the other thing we're really trying to compete with is if you're doing a full build, when you start to really break it down, especially if you're paying labor, you can easily spend $15,000. When you're doing a new suspension kit.
I'm very aware of that. very aware of that, yeah.
You know, but yeah, doing the suspension kit, you're upgrading your axles, you're upgrading your re-gearing. I mean, you could easily go 15 grand or past that, especially if you're paying $150, $200 an hour to a shop to do it for you.
Right.
Like, no problem.
I mean, now, the difference from a basic build with just a lift kit and some shocks and stuff, it's no comparison in price. But if you're going to go, well, we're going to go hardcore and we're going to go 1 tons, that's where the price differential really comes in.
Right.
Because you're not doing a full 1-ton conversion for under 20 grand.
Oh, no.
So that's where the difference is, right?
Yeah.
And you're getting 4 inches of true ground clearance, you know. So let me ask you about that. On something like a JL, if we're going to go with 40s on a standard lift, we got to trim the wheel wells. Is that still the case, or does this give enough headroom to not have to do that?
On a JL or JT, you definitely don't have to trim anything. There is like one bracket that's not really part of the wheel well that is in the way. But on the JK, you have to do a little bit of trimming, but not much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I highly recommend, if you're interested in this at all, go to their YouTube channel. Check out, watch them put these things through the test. Name some of the trails you've been on with these things.
So we've done Rubicon at least 5 or 6 times. We've done Fordyce a couple times. We've done Hell's Revenge. We've done Jackhammer. We've done Turkey Claw. What about Sand Hollow? Chocolate Thunder. Yeah, we did Chocolate. The Fallen. We've done a few. Yeah.
The major stuff in California, Moab, Utah.
Yeah.
I mean,
we even rolled it down in Moab last year, and then 2 days later, we went and jumped it to make sure it was all good.
Nice. Where can they find you?
PortalProsOffroad.com or at Instagram at PortalPros or Portal_Pros and YouTube Portal_Pros.
Awesome. If you're interested in this, check out these guys.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
We definitely had to stop by the IceCo booth. You guys know I have the APL 20. I've got the new 45, that black one. Love it.
Awesome.
The most accurate, dependable efficient refrigerators that you can get.
Good to hear.
Absolutely, no question. They worked great on our last Baja trip, but you got something new you're showing.
We do, yeah. So at SEMA, we launched our IPT20, which is optimized for full-size trucks, but what we're kind of teasing today is going to be our Go Pack. So this is the ultimate portability for fridges, powered freezers, all that kind of stuff. So you have a couple different configurations that you can do, whether you want backpack straps, over the shoulder type of strap. Maybe you can throw a hook on here, throw it on the back of a golf cart. But yeah, we're super excited for this one. Like I said, teasing it here. It'll be landed here in a couple months. Pricing is going to be TBD, you know, once that's landed.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have a 15-liter capacity in these ones.
Okay, well, that's a good size. I mean,
Yeah.
for most like off-road trips, you know, a little day trip where you just want to put some drinks and maybe some meat for sandwiches or something. Of
course.
That's a perfect size.
Exactly. Yeah, you could bring this to the beach, you know, sports events, anything like that. Like I said, made for that kind of ultimate portability type of thing. But yeah, so this is going to be one of the pretty much the lightest weight one for this style on the market as well. And it's going to be powered off our PB250 battery packs as well. So these guys will power our 75, 90 liter size fridges as well.
Oh yeah.
But obviously on this one, it's going to power this, you know, probably half a day at least, depending on the conditions and stuff.
This battery pack ran our APL 45 for, I believe it was right around 8.5 hours.
Yeah.
So I would imagine you're going to get all day on this.
For sure. Yeah, we've seen like our APL 55s, APL 35s, 20s, like up to 2 days actually.
Yeah.
So of course, like depending on conditions, like I said, but this is awesome. You know, we're gonna have more accessories come down the line as well.
So without the battery pack, because that's got some heft to it, what does this thing weigh? Do you know?
I'd say we're looking at about probably generally about 30 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah, dry weight.
Not bad.
Yeah, so like I said, the other ones on the market for this kind of style, portable backpack fridge, usually they're about 10 to 15 pounds heavier than this one too. Price point also is going to be a lot more than what we're shooting for as well.
This is nice. I mean, this nice cover on it, the big pocket for the battery. If you need the battery, you know, if you're just taking this off-roading or something, you're just going to plug this into a cigarette lighter port and not worry about it.
Yeah.
Very nice. And what do you think estimated time of arrival of these is going to be?
We're looking for late May.
Late May? Okay, so coming
so a
up.
couple months.
So we'll may see a release at Flagstaff?
Yeah, we should have them there as well.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Where's the best place to find you guys?
You can find us on IceCo Freezer, and you can also check out our dealers. We have nationwide dealers as well, supporting the IceCo brand.
Awesome. You know, I love IceCo. Check them out. Thanks much, man.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I have seen this jack online a lot recently. Wanted to check it out. It's here at the booth from Agile Off-Road, their new scissor jack. This thing is a freaking tank. You want to tell us about it?
Yeah. So it was derived from the Hummer H1 jack, and we've made it on steroids, primarily to lift the sprinter bands that we do. Their sprinter bands are like about 9,000 to 10,000 pounds, and they extend up really high. I think it extends up to about 22 inches, so it gets off the ground. We got bigger tires on them. Typically, we're running like a 33, 34-inch tall tire. And then they work really well on the Ineos Grenadier, which comes in at about 6,000 pounds delivered. So by the time it's outfitted, it's pretty heavy.
So what I like about this is with the stock scissor jack, they just don't have the reach. You know, they're not going to get high enough. A bottle jack may give you the reach you want, but you have to have enough clearance underneath it to be able to use it. Yeah. So there's pros and cons to each. This is kind of the best of both worlds because you have the clearance, being able to take this all the way down, and you've got a high lift amount. So it's also got a couple of cool features here. This puck for most applications.
And then we do the saddle for like an axle.
Does that come with it, or is that a?
Yeah, this comes with it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you're going to want to make sure that when you're using the application, use a drill. So you need one that's about 900 to 1,400 inch-pounds of torque. If you go to our website, the Milwaukee is listed on there, but it's drill, not an impact.
Oh, it's a drill. Okay.
Yeah. So in here, there's a planetary gear. Some are like a transfer case, so it's gear reduction. So we don't want you hammering that gear, and it'll picks it up great. What you do is you just go underneath the vehicle, you line up in a position, and then you can just stick your hand underneath the vehicle, out of harm's way, turn it on, and it jacks it up.
Absolutely awesome. I certainly could have used this in Baja when I broke my rear spring. We had zero clearance to get a jack underneath it. It was not fun.
Yeah.
The downside, it's heavy. I mean, this thing's about 24 pounds, 25 pounds.
I think that's what. Yeah, I think that's what he
somewhere
said,
in there. So I mean, you're gonna sacrifice a little weight and some size. It's not huge, but I think for a lot of applications, this is going to be a really, really good fit. And what are we talking about in price on this guy?
So right under $400 is the normal retail price.
Okay. So first, I mean, and this thing is, what is this made out of? Do you know?
This is all steel, and also everything's wider. If you were to compare this to a Hummer H1 jack, which it was designed for picking up a Hummer, everything in here is wider, so your bridges are wider, all your bolt points are wider. The other thing that people have to understand, like when you mentioned a bottle jack, if you think about a bottle jack, they have a very small base. So you have a pivot point at the top and a pivot point at the bottom. The jacks become very unsafe. The pivot point is huge.
Oh yeah, this thing is.
So the pivot point, even though it's here, but you've got this huge thing like this, so it works like holding it up like that.
Yeah, I mean, really well. Let's hold this back up again. So you can see that the base actually is designed to be mounted.
Yeah.
So just put some bolts in somewhere and just drop it in place.
Yep.
That's kind of cool as well.
Yeah.
So let's see how fast this thing can go up and down here.
So you're gonna put it on the torque setting too when you do that. So that's the torque setting. So it has the most torque. I think it's number 1 on there. So right here, number 1, and then here's your drill feature.
Okay.
But there's a higher speed. So if you're just jacking it up,
boy.
So you can.
Yeah.
But when you're jacking it, you want to put it in the number 1 setting for the most torque.
And then bringing it back down, boy.
Yeah, goes fast.
That scores super fast.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're looking for a top-notch jack. This is probably a winner here.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Where can they find you?
Agile Offroad, agileoffroad.com.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Right,
Appreciate your
thank you.
time.
Appreciate it.
We're stopping by the GME booth, and if you've never heard of them, which would be no surprise because you're kind of new to the market here,
sir.
right?
Yep.
They do GMRS radios. So what is special about yours? Why should we consider your product?
Yeah, so first off, we're Australian manufactured all the way down to we print our own circuit boards in-house. So we're very hands-on, detail-oriented, quality control. All of our units are designed to be hideaway units. So you can see here, how small this guy is.
I mean, that thing's like the size of a pack of smokes, right? I mean, it's smaller than your phone.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
So all of our operations are here in the handheld. So these are actually able to be hidden away, and we do some vehicle-specific pass-throughs or some universal ones depending on where you want to mount these. So you can actually hide these behind your dash. All you're going to see is this, and you just plug your mic in and out of this
and
guy.
Something this small, I mean, hey, you just double-sided tape this up somewhere.
100%.
You don't need some heavy-duty mount.
Yep.
What does that weigh? Any idea?
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, it's almost nothing.
Yeah, lighter than your phone, that's for sure.
And so you have 3 different models.
Yep, 3 models here. The internals are practically the same. Small compact like I just showed you here. This one's a metal die-cast chassis with a secondary speaker. So if you have a louder rig or want louder audio, you can get dual audio output from the handset and the unit. And then this unit's full IP67 rated. So for more buggies, open Jeeps.
The side-by-sides, all that stuff,
100%.
And so the handsets are all the same.
Yep.
And standard features, what all do you have?
Yeah, so we actually use digital signal processing internally, so we can actually do like noise canceling if you have loud tire drone or the windows are down and there's wind noise. We basically take it out. So we focus heavily on just voice audio. So our audio is very clear through these. We also have an anti-glare OLED screen, so as you can tell, it's pretty bright there. Our menu functions all full words. And then we have programmable buttons. So the XRS and top button's actually programmable. So you have 4 options to program a shortcut to whatever you want to do. One of those being voice playback. So if you actually miss a transmission,
I read about that.
you can hit a button and it recalls it. So you don't have to be the guy asking people to repeat themselves and whatnot. So that honestly is my favorite feature of this, and I use it all the time.
Often we're on trails and you're trying to reach somebody, but they've got their radio on and they have to ask you to repeat. So
Yep.
they can just turn their radio down, hit that, and get the message. That's a very, how long is that?
So it's the first 30 seconds of every transmission.
That's
and
still
it
pretty
banks
good.
up to 12 minutes of data, and then it starts to rewrite itself.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
Another feature is they're all Bluetooth capable, so your phone pairs to this. That lets us do firmware updates. If we release a new feature, we just push a firmware update. Now you have the new feature. You don't have to go buy a new radio.
Okay, so that's Bluetooth to an app?
Your phone, with an app. That's free.
Does that have any other features like being able to use headsets or headphones?
That does not, but we do offer a Bluetooth module where you can. So the Bluetooth module also, if you add it to this, gives you a secondary push to talk button and a secondary mic that you can run up the A-pillar or something. And it gives a steering wheel clamp where you can pull it out and stick it on the dash. So you never actually have to take this off, your magnetic mic holder up in the dash. You can just hit that PTT button, and that pairs to factory radios. It'll pair to AirPods. If you're wearing headsets, it'll pair to that.
This is a different style than you may be used to. Instead of that clip, which is bad. Oh, wow. Okay, that's not going to come off.
Yes, sir.
That is pretty strong. You see that? Oh, that is...
Yeah.
Okay.
Australia, there's a lot of washboard roads, so we heavily focused on that not falling off.
Yeah, that's not going to come off. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, now one thing that's kind of different than a lot of the mobiles out there, these aren't super high power.
Yes, sir.
They're 5 watt.
Yep.
So why is that okay?
So GMRS is all line of sight stuff. So, the earth is obviously not flat, it's round.
Okay.
So
depending on your point of view.
Right. 5 watts is enough to get you to horizon. You're not going to curve around the earth. So it's all line of sight stuff. You can see with 5 watts, typically if you can see them, you can talk to them, no problem. It's typically the repeaters and stuff where you get into that high power where you really want to broadcast off a taller mountain and stuff like that.
Okay, and how important is the antenna selection at that point?
More important than the radio.
Okay, and you have your own antennas.
So right behind you there, we have a stack of our antennas, also manufactured in Australia. So antenna placement, antenna choice is, far more important than radio in my opinion.
So how would someone know where to put the antenna?
So higher, line of sight, right? So higher is obviously always going to be better, but there's parking garages, there's bridges. You're not going to stick a, 5-foot antenna on the roof of your truck and drive around. So front bumpers typically where people end up putting it because you're going to have a little bit of height. There's a lot of open space around it for, the frequencies to emit from the antenna.
Is it better to have a short one that you can get higher or a tall one that can be mounted lower even if they're at the same total height?
Yeah, it depends on terrain. So we manufacture a 2.1 and a 6.6 on our radome style. The 2.1 is going to perform better in the mountains, in the hills, in the cities because the RF frequency is more round, where 6.6 a little more spread out, a little more distant. So highway driving, desert, you're going to be able to punch further, but it's directional. So as soon as you get into the mountains, trees and stuff like that, you're going to start seeing some interference there.
Cool. What are we looking at price-wise?
So our small unit runs $375. Our mid unit is $410, and then $435 for the IP67.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
I'm not used to using something that's got everything in the handle, and it does add a little bit of meat.
Yeah.
There's some heft to this. It has an excellent ergonomic feel to it.
Yeah.
So I have to see what that's like. I mean, I'm so used to looking up and dialing everything, but with this screen, that's kind of neat. I mean, because I know with the radio I have, which has now gone dead, in bright sunlight, even though it's underneath my hood, I can't see it.
Yeah.
It's just the glare is insane.
Yeah.
So this is going to work. We're overcast today. What the hell?
Right.
I mean, yesterday would have been a good day to look
Yeah.
at this because it was super bright out. So I'll have to see how that looks.
Yeah, come back when the sun's out.
This is pretty impressive stuff. And where can they find you?
GME US is our website. We have a dealer locator. We don't sell direct, so we have a network of dealers and spread out to the US, and you can see who's closest to you and order from them.
Awesome. Thanks much, man.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Now, storage, organization, always a big deal for people, right? Especially as some vehicles seem to get smaller. But milk crates, not that cool. They don't stack very well. They don't have good organization. Your bags, hard to get to. And our buddy Dewey over at Colorado Mall Crawlers has started using this system, the Cydio crate system. Is that
Yep.
best way to call it?
Yep.
What's it all about?
We started off with the same kind of idea. Milk crates they're strong and they're very versatile and they do stack, but they don't have lids. They have holes all over them. Stuff pokes out. It doesn't protect anything. It's not good for camping at all. Maybe for a few things, but I would just go with Cydio because guess what?
Well, you make them.
We make them all in the
So
US.
there's that, right?
We all make them in the US. We make them in the USA.
Okay.
They all stack together. They're all completely modular. We got divider systems inside of the crates. They don't have any of the dropping it in and
Fancy.
not looking at anything.
All right.
You ever seen a milk crate look like this?
No, that's pretty nice looking. So easy to see the dividers in there.
Yeah.
Very nice. And it looks like it's got a weather seal on here.
Yes.
So is that going to keep dust and water out?
Yes.
So can they be used as a flotation device in an emergency?
No.
No. Okay. Had to ask. Right. What kind of sizes do they come in?
3 sizes.
3?
Yep, sizes are right over there. They're quarter, half, and full. So, yep.
And nice and stackable. What kind of price ranges are we looking at?
Right here, we're displaying our WR, so it's around like 95 to 120 for those. They come with different dividers. You can do the standard dividers, go across the whole thing. We even got subdividers with long dividers. We got stacking cups, zipper cubes. We can break it down to the smallest little,
Okay, so they're going to come with a standard set of dividers, and you can add on from there?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Where's the best place for people to find you?
Cydio.com.
Pretty easy, right? All right. Well, thanks for your time, man.
Thank you.
That's our 2026 Overland Expo Southern California show coverage. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure and check out all the companies and their products. A lot of good stuff, but there is way more to see here than I could possibly ever put into a couple videos. So if you're interested in this kind of stuff, go to an Overland Expo. The next one is they're going to be in Flagstaff, Arizona. They're going to be in the Pacific Northwest. I think that's in Bend, Oregon. Then out in Loveland, Colorado, and I think out in Virginia somewhere. I mean, there's a handful of these, or there's other shows, More, Save, Gear. There's a bunch of other shows like this. Be sure and check them out. Until then, I think I'm done. Stay safe out there. We'll see you on the trails.